why is it important to understand what life is at the center? What difference does it make to your life as an individual? Does it add anything at all? Or is it one other distraction? Search for God, search for the Creator, search for ultimate reality. Why to bother about all that if it cannot add something to your being? Give meaning and purpose to your life. This is where religion and spirituality get separated. Take Christianity, for example. It is important to firstly make a distinction between Christianity and all the other religions. Christianity is a religion. Judaism is a religion. Islam is a religion. By the very definition of the word religion, they are all bound to one central thought, one central idea that there is a creator, an all-knowing, omnipresent, omnipotent creator who's outside of creation, who is responsible for creation, who is the ultimate judge of all our lives. Apart from these three religions that share the same monotheistic roots, almost all other religions of the world are not even religions in the sense that there is no this one central belief in a supreme being or God. In fact, if you look at it this way, Buddhism is totally atheistic. There is no belief in God in Buddhism. The Sakyamuni, Buddha, the teacher of wisdom, the teacher of life, is the ultimate longing to understand the Buddha, to connect with the Buddha. And Buddha is not the creator of worlds. He is not the judger of your actions. He represents truth that he has realized within him, and his teachings are a way to get to that truth. Very similar is Hinduism. Although there are many gods, many deities in Hinduism, there is no one central, absolute, authoritative God who is sitting in heaven and judging all human actions. Hinduism in parts is theistic, in parts is even atheistic. You can be a Hindu without even believing in God, without even believing in a creator even. In fact, it is said that ultimately you are the creator. Aham Brahmasmi. The self is the creating entity. The fundamental reality of life is a conscious self expressing itself through the mind, through the body, through the senses, which is the world and all the manifestations of reality. There is no concept of a creator outside of creation. That's why the Upanishads begins with, verily, those worlds of the asuras are enveloped in blind darkness, and thereto they all repair after death who are slayers of Atman. It is just defining that ignorant, unconscious part of you, which eventually will always come back to the same samsaric cycle of life after death, because it is disconnected from truth. Because it is disconnected from truth, all its dreaming, all its desiring, while it seems like death will put an end to it, they come back and repair. They rejoin and move in the same way. Unconsciousness can only be broken through consciousness. Without bringing in your conscious self to reflect on the unconscious part of your being, which is pretty much your entire life, your life is just a pattern that is set in stone. It's unalterable. Your deep-rooted, deep-conditioned habits simply keep on working themselves out. They create the problems, they find the solutions, and they give you that perception of elation, perception of joy and disappointment, and this is how life moves on. In this movement of life, there is something very fundamental you're missing. There is an emotion that you are not even aware of. For an unconscious mind, it is not even possible to conceptualize that there can be a totally new emotion through which you can look at life, you can perceive life. It is like a totally new flower with new fragrance. No matter how much you try to describe it, unless you smell that flower, you can never believe that such a thing can exist. Anyways, how can you describe the smell? Truth is that flower. The fragrance of truth cannot be spoken about, cannot be explained. You have to go through the process of inner churning. Just with that enough understanding that if you churn long enough, if you don't stop, if you don't give up, something new, something that you have been unaware of all your life emerges from the depths of your being. And by the very nature of churning, you don't produce the very same thing that you're churning. You produce something entirely different. You churn milk, which turns into butter. Every time you churn and you keep on churning, it's the same substance, but it keeps on becoming something totally different. It enhances the fragrance. It becomes something more valuable. Otherwise, why are you churning? If churning were to degrade what you're churning, you would not churn it. The reason why you put in all that effort is because you want that something. You want all the superficial, unwanted, accumulated nonsense to settle and disappear so that you can find the very essence of what that substance is made of. It's exactly the same process. Your true self is not somewhere far away. It is right here. But it is mixed up with all kinds of unnecessary, unwanted thought processes that has diluted it severely. Churning is a way of separating in a way, water from milk, separating truth from lies, separating light from darkness. It all begins with the acknowledgement that this churning is happening inside, and there is a part of you that is constantly trying to obstruct your endeavor to get to the truth. You are your obstacle. You are your evil. You are the one you have to conquer. You have to win over. Outside is not the most important thing. Outside is simply a manifestation of the inside. If you can recognize the inner demon and fight with it, and eventually gain control over it, then all the manifestations of this inner demon that you see in the outside world becomes easy to understand and deal with. But on the other hand, if you start on the outside, because you're not at the source, life becomes an endless battle where you simply come back again and again after death and repair with your unconscious being.